This morning, we have three regulars for you, myself, Jen Childs. We also have, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Sydney Check, reporting from New York City.
Hi, and I'm Elizabeth Fabian, coming in from Connecticut.
And I didn't say, but I'm in sunny Florida, so I'm sorry to all of you. It's the temp is lovely here. Just a reminder, the books that we'll be talking about, we have a key that indicates what formats that they'll be available in. Many of them are available in multiple formats, including hardcover, large print, ebook, audio, and we'll also have the happy orange E whenever there's an eGalley available, either on Edelweiss or NetGalley, or usually both. So you can choose your preference. And now I know one of the biggest questions everybody has is, where is the lovely Jen Rubens? We miss her too. And we wanted to take a moment to show you what she's been up to. I know someone mentioned it last time, but there's Jen with her beautiful baby boy. She's doing great. Big Brother's doing great. We hope that she'll be back. Gosh, I can't believe it's already March. She'll be back in another 2 months. So, but we thought we'd give you a quick glimpse of Jen's little bundle of joy.
All right, and this month we've got a great roundup of some virtual events for everyone. Starting with tomorrow, we have Susan Conley is going to be in conversation with Rick Russo on Zoom. That will be tomorrow at 7. And then we also have another great roundup of many other author events, such as Kazuo Ishiguro, Isabel Allende, Jasmine Mans, and more. And if you're interested in learning more about these author events and or want to learn about other author events going on, feel free to visit the page prh.com/booksconnectuslive.
And we're really excited to bring back our Lunch and Learn series. The next one takes place on next Thursday, March 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. In our first episode in January, we focused on health and wellness. This next episode shines a light on the odds and mysteries of science, everything from an in-depth look at the chemistry of what we eat, drink, and inhale, to the wonder of trees, to the answer of the question, what is life, and so much more. We hope you'll join us for this great new nonfiction series we're hosting, featuring library professionals who are experts in each topic and standout authors who are each the best in their fields. You can sign up with the tiny URL at the bottom of the screen. We'll also be sending all of the tiny URLs out at the end of the program so that you don't have to jot it all down frantically. But you can also check out our archived videos of past events if you happen to have missed them. And we are really, really thrilled to tell you wonderful news from our colleagues at Brightly. This is the first ever Brightly Storytime happening on, Brightly Storytime Live happening on Saturday, March 20th. The event is being announced today, so you, my friends and librarians, are the very, very first people to hear about this. On March 20th, Brightly invites children, parents, teachers, librarians, and book lovers of all stripes to join Miss Linda and hear stories read by authors including Alyssa Holder, Deborah Macero, Mikkel Renee Rowe, Rachel Ignatowski, and Shelley Anand. And participants will all receive exclusive downloadable activity kits with printable activities for kids and fun snack ideas. So check out the link on the screen. Again, we'll send it out after the program, and spread the word to your colleagues and all of your patrons. It should be an amazing time.
Okay, another thing that you guys are the absolute first to hear about. This is a project that we've been working hard on. It's near and dear to our heart. We are putting together with Library Journal and School Library Journal the very first, hopefully not the last, Penguin Random House Book and Author Festival. Time for National Library Week. The idea is that we are celebrating libraries, celebrating books, authors. It'll be a day-long festival, kind of modeled a bit after the Day of Dialogue. There'll be booths to visit. We're going to have some amazing authors that you'll be able to hear from live, chat with. I don't have my list in front of you, but to drop a few names, we have Andy Weir, who's going to be joining us, Lauren Weisberger, Michelle Zauner. Elizabeth, feel free to jump in if you can think of any amazing names that I forgot, but it's going to be a star-studded day.
It will, and I think some of the books that we're talking about today, especially in nonfiction, you'll hear from us about them today, but you'll hear from the authors themselves on the day of the event from Marguerite Fox and a few others. So it will be an incredible lineup.
Absolutely, it's free to register. So we'll send out the link in the follow-up email to make sure that you have the chance to register.
Great. And March is Women's History Month, so we thought that we'd put together a blog to highlight all of the incredible women throughout American history, from trailblazers and inspirational leaders to activists, writers. All of these reads commemorate the vital role of women throughout history. So if you want to check out our blog, you can look at the tiny URL below, and we'll also be included in the wrap up. But we just thought we would like to highlight this, especially because it's such a special month.
Okay, and on to the books. We're going to start with a selection of powerful memoirs. First up is The Profession, a memoir of community, race, and the arc of policing in America by Bill Bratton, the legendary police commissioner and police reformer in Boston, Los Angeles, and New York. When Bill Bratton became a Boston street cop after his return from serving in Vietnam, he was dismayed by the corrupt old guard, and it's fair to say the old guard was dismayed by him too. But his success fighting crime couldn't be denied. Propelled by extraordinary results, Bratton had a dazzling rise and ultimately a dazzling career, becoming the most famous police commissioner of modern times. The Profession is the story of that career in full. It's a riveting combination of cop stories and community involvement. The Profession presents not only a fascinating and colorful life at the heights of law enforcement leadership, but the vision for the future of American policing that we sorely need. Next, the hugely popular singer-songwriter duo Johnny Swim share their story like never before, showing readers how to find home wherever they are in this visually stunning debut. Work and life partners, Amanda Sedano Ramirez and Abner Ramirez, are known for translating the memories and milestones of their journey, as well as the honest realities of marriage, into their spirited and soulful songs. With this beautifully designed, visually stunning book, the duo shares never-before-told stories, beautiful photos, recipes, poetry, and more from their life in a deeply engaging experience as they travel on tour around the country with their 3 young kids, capturing the family's raw, intimate, and behind-the-scenes life on the road and embracing home no matter where they are. It features a foreword by Chip and Joanna Gaines. See, Elizabeth, you could be traveling the road with your 3 young kids instead of stuck in your house.
I don't know which sounds a little more terrifying.
Truly. And next up, this is a book that's been getting a lot of great reads out there. This is from the indie rock star of Japanese breakfast fame and author of the viral 2018 New Yorker essay that shares the title of this book, Crying in H Mart. It's an unflinching, powerful memoir about growing up Korean American, losing her mother, and forging her own identity. A Kirkus starred review says of the book, poignant, a tender, well-rendered, heart-wrenching account of the way food ties us to those who have passed. Her story is fluid, honest, and intimate. When a loved one dies, we search all of our senses for signs of their presence. Zauner's ability to let us in through taste makes her books stand out. She makes us feel like we are in her mother's kitchen, singing her praises. Next up is The Ugly Cry. Abandoned at 10 years old by a mother who chose her drug-addicted, abusive boyfriend, Danielle was raised by grandparents who thought their child-rearing days had ended in the 60s. She grew up Black, weird, and overwhelmingly uncool in a mostly white neighborhood in upstate New York, which created its own identity crisis. Under the eye-rolling, foul-mouthed, loving tutelage of her uncompromising grandmother and the horror movies she obsessively watched, Danielle grew into a tall, awkward, sassy, loving teenager who wore black eyeliner as lipstick and was struggling with the aftermath of her mother's choices. But she also learned she had the strength and smarts to save herself, her grandmother's gifting her a faith in her own capabilities that the world would not have most Black girls possess. With humor, wit, deep insight, Danielle shares how she grew up and grew wise and the lessons she's carried from those days to these. In the process, she upends our conventional understanding of family and redefines its boundaries to include the millions of people who share her story. And next, after their decision not to have a biological child, Sarah Sentiel and her husband Eric decide to adopt via the foster care system. Despite knowing that the system's goal is the child's reunification with the birth family, Sarah opens their home to a flurry of social workers who question them, evaluate them, and ultimately prepare them to welcome a child into their lives, even if it means most likely having to give the child back. After years of starts and stops and endless navigation of the complexities and injustices of the foster care system, a phone call finally comes. A 3-day-old baby girl named Coco, in immediate need of a foster family. Sarah and Eric bring this newborn stranger home. "You were never ours," Sarah tells Coco, "yet we belong to each other." This is a love letter to Coco and to the countless children like her. Stranger Care chronicles Sarah's discovery of what it truly means to be a mother.
This chokes me up every time.
I know. And then finally, a book that I'm sure you're all familiar with, The Motorcycle Diaries. This is Che Guevara's diary of his journey to discover the continent of Latin America while still a medical student, setting out in '52 on a vintage Norton motorcycle together with his friend Alberto Granado, a biochemist. It captures arguably as much as any book ever written, the exuberance of joy of one person's youthful belief in the possibilities of humankind tending towards justice, peace, and happiness. After the release in 2004 of the exhilarating film of the same title, directed by Walter Salles, the book became a New York Times and international bestseller. This edition includes a new introduction by Walter Salles and an array of new material that was assembled for the 2004 edition coinciding with the release of the film, including 24 pages of previously unpublished photos taken by Che, notes and comments by his wife, and an extensive introduction by the distinguished Cuban author Cintio Vitier, published simultaneously in Spanish and English. And Seven Stories will also be releasing quite a few books, repackages of Che Guevara, his letters, etc., in the coming months.
So I hope that some of you are lucky like Jen and you live in from other climates, but it is brisk still here in Connecticut. There is still snow on the ground, and I am ready for sandals and sunglasses and summer reads. And whether your idea of a great summer or a great summer read includes glamour or adventure or escape, we have definitely got something for you. I loved The Devil Wears Prada when I first read it. I'm probably dating myself from when it was still a book. I remember that cover with the stilettos and the devil's tail, and I confess every single time I come across it on television, I watch it, or at least some of it. So I'm very excited to talk to you about Where the Grass is Green and the Girls Are Pretty. Lauren Weisberger, the author of The Devil Wears Prada and When Life Gives You Lululemons, returns with a sharply observed novel about sisters and their perfect lives and their perfect lies. Peyton is the anchor of a popular morning show. She's recognized by millions, mostly because of her flawless blonde highlights and her Botox smooth skin. She is an adoring husband and a Princeton-bound daughter. Her sister Sky is a stay-at-home mom in a fancy, glitzy New York suburb. She has degrees from all of the right schools, and she can helicopter parent like the best of them. But she dreams of more than just the PTA and pickup. Then there's one little lie. That's all it takes for the illusions to crack, the resentments to surface, and suddenly the grass doesn't look so green, and they're left wondering, will they have what it takes to survive the truth? So draw back the curtain on this posh world with a summer read that's perfect for fans of Liam Moriarty, Jennifer Weiner, and Kevin Kwan. But New York is not the only place that holds secrets, so come with me to Pod in the Paper Palace. It's a perfect July morning, and Elle, a 50-year-old happily married mother of 3, awakens at the Paper Palace, the family summer place which she's visited every single summer of her life. But this morning is different. Last night, Elle and her oldest friend Jonas crept out the back door into the darkness and had sex for the very first time with each other, all while their spouses chatted away inside. Now, over the course of the next 24 hours, Elle will have to decide between the life she has made with her genuinely beloved husband, Peter, and the life she always imagined she would have with her childhood love, Jonas, if a tragic event hadn't intervened and changed the course of their lives forever. This is perfect summer reading for your summer book clubs. But if you prefer nail-biting suspense to simmering secrets, you can try Project Hail Mary. The #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Martian returns with an incredible new science-based thriller, the story of a lone astronaut who must save the Earth from disaster. Ryland Grace is a sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and the Earth itself will perish. Except right now he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of the assignment he has and how he's supposed to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very, very long time, and he's just awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but 2 corpses for company. And hurtling through space on this tiny ship, it's up to him to puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction-level threat to our species. So that's a true escape, but if you'd like an escape that's a little closer to home, please check out The Summer Job by Lizzie Dent. What if you could be someone else just for the summer? Well, Birdie has actually done it, but she's made a mistake. The someone else she's become is her best friend, Heather. The only problem is she hasn't told Heather. The summer job at the Kyland Scottish Hotel that her world-class wine expert friend ditched turns out to be a lot more than Birdie bargained for. Can she survive a summer pretending to be her best friend? And can she stop herself from falling for the first man she's ever actually liked but thinks she's someone else? Beach Read meets Sweet Bitter in this laugh out loud and ultimately heartwarming debut filled with bad decisions, edgy love stories, and tales of a messy coming of age. Or travel back in time with me. Go back to 1969, an era alive with music, sex, and the trappings of fame. Songs of Ursa Major is a scintillating debut that may or may not be inspired by the true life love affair between 2 famous musicians. Raised on an island off the coast of Massachusetts by a mother who wrote songs for famous musicians, Jane Quinn is singing in her own band before she's even old enough to read music. And when folk legend Jessie Reed hears about Jane's performance on the island, a star is born, and so is their passionate love affair. They become inseparable, and her band joins his tour. But caught up in the thrill of the road and the lustful connection she has with Jesse, Jane is completely blindsided by a discovery she makes about the dark secret beneath his music. This is a book that's shot through with the lyrics, the icons, the lore, and the adrenaline of the early 70s music scene. And Songs of Ursa Major pulses with romantic longing and the struggles of female artists, and it's a perfect read to recommend for fans of Daisy Jones and the Six, Writers and Lovers, and A Star is Born. And finally, if you're like me, the place you want to travel to is Italy and meeting in Positano. In this charming, deeply atmospheric novel set on the Amalfi Coast in the 1950s, 2 women form an intense and lasting friendship that embodies the paradoxes of Italian society. Inspired by her own adventurous, unconventional life, actress and writer Gagliarda Sapienza recently discovered novel takes the reader to the sun-drenched town of Positano in southern Italy. While she's working there on a film, she encounters the beautiful and captivating Erica, who is called by the locals the princess. She's an object of much speculation, and as the 2 women grow closer, in spite of their differences, they gradually reveal more about their thoughts, their feelings, experiences, and the ghosts of their past. Writing this story of their transformative friendship 30 years later, Gagliarda offers a profound reflection on love in its many forms and opens a window into an enchanting time and place that lingers in the mind. It's perfect summer reading for fans of Elena Ferrante, Under the Tuscan Sun, and Beautiful Ruins.
I want to go to Italy.
Me
Right?
too. Pasta, Italy,
Wine.
Gelato, wine.
oh yeah, of course. Oh, too important.
Forget it. Yeah. All right, so next up, historical fiction, another route of escape. Um, Edward Rutherford has enthralled millions of readers with his grand, sweeping historical sagas that tell the history of a famous place over multiple generations. Now in China, Rutherford takes readers into the rich and fascinating milieu of the Middle Kingdom. The story begins in 1839 at the dawn of the First Opium War and follows Chinese history through Mao's Cultural Revolution and up to the present day. Rutherford chronicles the rising and falling fortunes of members of the Chinese, British, and American families as they negotiate the tides of history. Along the way, in his signature style, Rutherford provides a deeply researched portrait of Chinese history and society, its ancient traditions and great upheavals, and China's emergence as a rising global power. As always, we're treated to romance and adventure, heroines and scoundrels, grinding struggle, and incredible fortunes. And then next, for fans of feminist retellings of Greek mythology like Madeline Miller's Circe, as well as readers of historical fiction that illuminates the voices that history often forgets, will be drawn to Daughters of Sparta. For millennia, men have told the legend of the woman whose face launched 1,000 ships, but now it's time to hear her side of the story. Daughters of Sparta is a tale of secrets, love, and tragedy from the women behind mythology's most devastating war, the infamous Helen and her sister Clytemnestra. Then in The Eagle's Claw, Jeff Shara recounts in electrifying detail the U.S. Navy's surge to defend its country in what will become known as one of the most definitive and heroic examples of combat ever seen, the Battle of Midway. In this biting new tale, Shara shares the stories of all ranks and the unique sacrifices each man is compelled to bravely make for the sake of country, freedom, and honor. Featuring a signature depth of research and you are there immediacy, this novel shows once again why Shara is unequivocally the master of military fiction. And while this book definitely stands alone, this is the much anticipated conclusion to Shara's Pearl Harbor saga following To Wake the Giant. The Great Circle. This is truly epic historical fiction. I loved seating arrangements, but this book clearly takes Maggie Shipstead to a new level in her writing. After being rescued as infants from a sinking ocean liner in 1914, Marion and Jamie Graves are raised by their dissolute uncle in Missoula, Montana. There, after encountering a pair of barnstorming pilots passing through town in beat-up biplanes, Marion commences her lifelong love affair with flight. At 14, she drops out of school and finds an unexpected and dangerous patron in a wealthy bootlegger who provides a plane and subsidizes her lessons. This is an arrangement that will haunt her for the rest of her life, even as it allows her to fulfill her destiny, circumnavigating the globe by flying over the North and South Poles. A century later, Hadley Baxter is cast to play Marion in a film that centers on Marion's disappearance in Antarctica. Vibrant, canny, disgusted with the claustrophobia of Hollywood, Hadley is eager to redefine herself after a romantic film franchise has imprisoned her in the grip of cult celebrity. Her immersion into the character of Marion unfolds thrillingly alongside Marion's own story, as the two women's fates and their hunger for self-determination in vastly different geographies and times collide. A Kierkegaard review says, "The destinies of every one of these people and many more unforgettable characters intersect in ways that reverberate through 100 years of story. Whether Shipstead is creating scenes in the Prohibition-era American West, in wartime London, or on a Hollywood movie set, her research is as invisible as it should be, allowing a fully immersive experience. Ingeniously structured and so damn entertaining, this novel is as ambitious as its heroines, but it never falls from the sky." And next up is a book I'm sure there'll be quite a bit of excitement about, The Personal Librarian. In her 20s, Belle DaCosta Green is hired by J.P. Morgan to curate a collection of rare manuscripts, books, and artwork for his newly built Pierpont Morgan Library. Belle becomes a fixture on the New York society scene and one of the most powerful people in the art and book world, known for her impeccable taste and shrewd negotiating for critical works as she helps to build a world-class collection. But Belle has a secret, one she must protect at all costs. She was not born Bella DaCosta Green, but Belle Marion Greener. She's the daughter of Richard Greener, the first Black graduate of Harvard and a well-known advocate for equality. Belle's complexion isn't dark because of her alleged Portuguese heritage that lets her pass as white. Her complexion is dark because she is African American. The Personal Librarian is based on the remarkable little-known story of Belle DaCosta Green, J.P. Morgan's personal librarian, who became one of the most powerful women in New York despite the dangerous secret she kept in order to make her dreams come true. It was co-written by the New York best-selling author Marie Benedict and acclaimed author Victoria Christopher Murray. The e-galley is available on this one, so I hope you will check that out. And finally, Wild Women and the Blues. In a stirring and impeccably researched novel of jazz-age Chicago in all its vibrant life, two stories intertwine nearly 100 years apart as a chorus girl and a film student deal with loss, forgiveness, and love in all its joy, sadness, and imperfections. Think Ordinary People meets Chicago the Musical. A book list says all the glitz and glamour of jazz-age Chicago, along with all the mob violence, is artfully described by Bryce in this richly told historical fiction debut. The book was named a Goodreads debut novel to discover and biggest upcoming historical fiction book. It was in Black Business Guide's 21 books by Black writers to read. And most importantly, it was named by Today and BuzzFeed a book for Bridgerton fans. So I'm sure you have quite a few of those in the library.
And that cover is stunning.
It is.
Can you all hear me? I know that there were some sound issues. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You sound fine on my end.
Okay. Great. We wanted to also present some nonfiction we're really proud to be publishing this spring and summer, filled with real-life adventure stories, in-depth reporting, and powerful calls for change. And the first book I'm presenting is Facing the Mountain. Here, the #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Boys in the Boat now gives us a gripping World War II saga of patriotism and courage. This is the story of the special Japanese American Army unit that overcame brutal odds in Europe, their families incarcerated back home, and a young man who refused to surrender his constitutional rights even if it meant imprisonment. Facing the Mountain is an unforgettable chronicle of wartime America, the battlefields of Europe, but it tells of these soldiers' parents, the immigrants forced to shutter their businesses and shutter their homes and submit to life in concentration camps right on US soil. And whether fighting on battlefields or in courtrooms, these were Americans under unprecedented strain, doing what Americans do best, striving, resisting, pushing back, rising up, standing on principle, laying down their lives, and enduring. And next is For the People, a story of justice and power by Larry Krasner. Larry Krasner spent 30 years learning about America's prison system as a civil rights and criminal defense lawyer in Philadelphia, working to get some kind of justice for his clients in a broken system. Then he decided the only way to truly transform the system was to get inside of it. So he launched an unlikely campaign to become district attorney of Philadelphia, a city known for its long line of notorious tough-on-crime DAs who had turned Philly into a city with one of the highest rates of incarceration in the country. And despite the long odds, Krasner laid out a simple case for radical reform and won the November general election by a margin of nearly 50%. For the People is the story about Krasner's remarkable early life as a defense lawyer and his powerful campaign, but it's also an inspiring vision of how people can take power back and reform criminal justice and what can be done if we're willing to fight for the power to make a change. This is a work for readers of Just Mercy and The New Jim Crow, and many more people will know Krasner's name when the PBS film Philly DA, based on Krasner, premieres on April 20th. This next one is a great story that I had no idea about. The Confidence Men by Marguerite Fox. This is the astonishing true story of two World War I prisoners who pulled off one of the most ingenious escapes of all time. Imprisoned in a remote Turkish prison camp during World War I, having survived a 2-month forced march and a terrifying shootout in the desert, two British officers, Harry Jones and Cedric Hill, joined forces to bamboozle their iron-fisted captors. To stave off despair and boredom, Jones takes a handmade Ouija board and fakes elaborate seances for his fellow prisoners. Word gets out around the camp, and one day one of the Ottoman officials approaches him with a query. Can Jones contact a spirit world to find a vast treasure rumored to be buried nearby? Jones, a trained lawyer, and Hill, a brilliant magician, use the Ouija board and their keen understanding of psychology of deception to build a trap for their captors that will ultimately lead to their freedom. This is a gripping nonfiction thriller, and it tells the story of one of the only known con games played for such a good cause, and of a profound and unlikely friendship. Who knew a Ouija board could do so much?
That sounds great, actually.
Truly.
You piqued my interest.
She's one of the authors speaking at our nonfiction panel at the festival. So I think it is going to be
Awesome.
a fascinating discussion. And next, shifting gears totally and completely, is This Is Your Mind on Plants from the New York Times bestselling author Michael Pollan. Here, he offers us a radical challenge about how we think about drugs in an exploration of the powerful human attraction to psychoactive plants and the equally powerful taboos that surround them. In This Is Your Mind on Plants, Michael Pollan dives deep into 3 plant drugs, opium, caffeine, and mescaline, and throws the fundamental strangeness and arbitrariness of our thinking about them into sharp relief. In this unique blend of history, science, and memoir, as well as participatory journalism, Pollan examines the experiences of these plants from several different angles, contexts, and shines a fresh light on the subject that is all too often treated reductively as a drug, whether illicit or illicit. This groundbreaking and singular consideration of psychoactive plants and our attraction to them holds up a mirror to our fundamental human need for aspiration, the operations of our minds, and our entanglement with the natural world. And next is Empire of Pain. Empire of Pain. The best-selling author of Say Nothing turns his reporting and attention to a portrait of 3 generations of the Sackler family. The Sackler name adorns the walls of many storied institutions: Harvard, Metropolitan Museum of Art, Oxford, the Louvre. They're one of the richest families in the world, known for their lavish donations to the arts and sciences. The source of the family fortune was vague, however, until it emerged that the Sacklers were responsible for making and marketing OxyContin, a blockbuster painkiller that was a catalyst for the opioid crisis. Empire of Pain unravels this story and is a masterpiece of narrative reporting and writing, and exhaustively documented, and it's ferociously compelling. And finally is Nice Racism, the follow-up to Robin DiAngelo's New York Times bestseller, White Fragility. Racism, Angelo states, will not be interrupted by a hug or a smile. Dismantling white supremacy requires white people to commit to a lifetime of education and accountability. Continuing the work she began in White Fragility, Robin DiAngelo challenges white readers to rethink their ideas about racism and to confront their role in maintaining it. She identifies common moves white progressives make to telegraph their niceness, such as avoiding social discomfort, focusing on connections and commonalities, privileging concern for the feelings of perpetrators over racism for the victims, and elevating intentions over impact, and credentialing. Writing candidly about her own missteps and struggles, DiAngelo urges other white progressives to align their practice with their values. Drawing on over 20 years working as an anti-racist educator, DiAngelo models a path forward, helping white readers to face their complicity and embrace humanity.
And next up, we have a fabulous announcement, and I'm sure everyone knows the name Amanda Gorman these days, wordsmith, changemaker, Time 100 Next honoree, and of course, the youngest inaugural poet in the United States. So we are over the moon with excitement for the opportunity to publish Amanda Gorman's inaugural poem, The Hill We Climb, inaugural poem for the country, which will be available in hardcover, ebook, and audio download editions on sale March 30th. And this will also include an enduring foreword by Oprah Winfrey, which is fabulous. And this keepsake will celebrate the promise of America and affirms the true power of poetry. So we're super excited for this. And also stay tuned for more of Amanda's full works, including a full collection of poetry and a children's book coming in September 2021. And next, we're going to just chat about some related kids audiobooks. So we'll start with She Persisted, Sally Ride. In honor of Women's History Month, this is just one of the many titles that is within the She Persisted series. So this one is a chapter book biography by award-winning author Atia Abawi, where readers will learn about the amazing life of Sally Ride and how she persisted. As the first American woman in space, Sally Ride broke barriers and made her dreams come true, but she wanted to do even more. After leaving NASA, she created science and engineering programs that would help other girls and women make their dreams come true as well. We love women in STEM. So this is coming with a complete introduction from Chelsea Plimpton and also read by actor-singer Carolyn Kang, who's a fellow NYPL library patron. Stay tuned for other titles within the She Persisted series coming this summer, including Nellie Bly, Ruby Bridges, and more. So we're very excited for this series to continue. Next, we will go to Fatima's Great Outdoors. This is a lively, adapted for audio picture book about an American immigrant family who embarks on their first camping trip in the Midwest. And it's written and read by the author, Ambreen Tariq, who is an outdoors activist and founder of the Brown People Camping campaign. It's also a social media initiative that utilizes personal narratives and digital storytelling to promote greater diversity in our public lands and outdoor community. She's all over social media. It's a great, her handle is at Brown People Camping. If you're interested, she has a great website, Instagram page to learn more. And this is perfect for little armchair travelers and outdoor explorers. For historical fiction, we have War and Millie McGonagall by Karen Cushman, who is the Newbery Award-winning author of Catherine Called Birdie and The Midwife's Apprentice, where in this one she'll tell a heartfelt and humorous story of World War II on the home front. We just found this title will be narrated by actress and seasoned audiobook narrator Emma Galvin, who will certainly bring this heartfelt story to life. And lastly, we have Our Skin, a first conversation about race. Based on the research that race, gender, consent, and body positivity should be discussed with toddlers on up, this Read Aloud board book series, now adapted for audio, offers adults the opportunity to begin important conversations with young children in an informed, safe, and supported way. Developed by experts in the fields of early childhood and activism against injustice, this topic-driven audiobook offers clear, concrete language that young children can grasp and adults can leverage for further discussion. This will be narrated by the Broadway and film actress, also multiple audiophile earphone award-winning narrator, Robin Miles. We're very much looking forward to that as well. And thank you guys so much for watching. This has been such a great experience to be back again. Our next buzz will be on April 14th. Take a look in a few days for our wrap up where you'll see all of the links, all the events that we talked about so you won't miss out on anything. And we'll also have this archived on YouTube. But to register for our next buzz, you can look at the tiny URL below. And there we have it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. And we're a week later because of the author festival. We wanted to space things out. So be sure to sign up for the festival and we'll see you 2 weeks in a row.
Woo.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.